Morning campers, coffee time. Well, yesterday, Shadow of Ezra on X and Kirill Dmitriev reposted it. And it was a clip of Vladimir Putin saying that Russia is at war against Satanism. And he talks about sorcery and how this creates despair in people and morale. And this is a world leader openly talking about Satanism. Thank God. Thank God. Now, some of you might be watching this and go, Satanism, what are you talking about? That's just ridiculous. Satan isn't real. It doesn't matter whether you think Satan's real or not. The fact is, Satanism is a real thing. My personal journey with this goes back to the first time I really believed that Satanism was real was when I was a Air Force cadet on an exchange in Canada. I think I was 17, maybe 18, but I think I was 17. And I was, where did I go? I was in Vancouver, and I met up with an F-16 pilot and his daughter, offered to take me up in a Cessna 152, I think, and we flew around. We were just flying around. It was just like a little jolly, and she did a steep turn and pointed down towards this huge country house, and she said over the intercom, "Oh, that's the headquarters of the Satanists." And I'm like, "What? What did you say?" She said, "Yeah, that's the headquarters of the Satanists, and if you wanted to drive to that house, you wouldn't be able to find it." And it was like I was immediately transported back to the Hammer horror films. The one that stuck with me as a kid was The Devil Rides Out, the Dennis Wheatley novel, which was filmed, and it freaked me out as a kid. But this was a real person in the air saying to me in the late 80s, that's the headquarters of the Senate. No, we landed, and I spent 2 weeks in Canada, and I was walking into shops, looking around at people, going, "Oh, are you a Satanist? Are you a Satanist?" It's real. It's totally real, and it's been part of my life ever since. I've met lots of Satanists, actually. There was one time in an Irish pub in about 2018-19 when I noticed this woman was there, and she was dressed kind of gothically, but she left her handbag very prominently on the side on a bench, or a cushioned bench, and it had the inverted or the pentagram on it. Anyway, I recognized it, and she came to the bar right next to me, and I said, "Excuse me, I just noticed your handbag." She went, "Yeah, I'm a Satanist. What of it?" I was like, "Well, excuse me for speaking." And it was that kind of arrogant, like, "How dare you question me?" Yes, I'm a Satanist. And even, locally around here, there's a cottage that I've been to where it's not been occupied for about 100 years, and you go upstairs, and there's pentagrams on the floor and on the wall, hanging bones from, obviously satanic rituals going on inside there. So it is a very real thing. And also, there was a time when I was at a St. Patrick's Day parade, and this is about 4 years ago, and there were two children about 10 years old very expensively dressed as vaccines. And behind them were two men, tall men. One was dressed in a gas mask, and this is like in the middle of tractor, Irish St. Patrick's Day. Tall man with a gas mask and a very long leather coat right down to his huge boots. Classic satanic outfit. Next to him was a guy, same kind of height, dressed as Father Time, which is Kronos, which is Saturn, which is Satan. And it was like everybody's clapping and cheering, and I'm like, am I the only one who recognizes this symbolism? I also saw a roundabout not far from here that's painted in exactly the same as the logo for the Vril Society, as the Black Sun. So it's a very real thing. from in my experience. And let me be clear that the fact that Kirill Dmitriev, if you don't follow him on X, you should. He's a special advisor to Putin. I personally don't think that's the original Putin. I personally think that Putin is working in cahoots with a huge alliance worldwide to clear the world of Satanists. And I believe that this output that's on social media, it's not the first time he's mentioned Satanism either, but this output on social media is to start to educate the public about this subject, because it's a vastly important subject. In fact, it made me think of this poem I wrote 3.5 years ago called Truth Bombs. I'll just play it for you now. Here we go. Excuse the fingerprints on the screen. Truth. So you can see from that 3-4 years ago I was talking about the same thing. I talk about the fact that Ukraine was never actually a country. Ukraine is actually where the Khazarians come from. The Khazarian mafia are, if you've never heard of them, you need to look into them, because they are the satanic cannibals that have infiltrated every level of government and society over many, many years. And that's the fight that we're in. So it's amazing to see a world leader talking about this openly, because Putin is not, despite all the efforts of the EU and Steer Karma to paint Russia as the enemy, we know, anybody with half a brain knows that Russia is not the enemy at all. In fact, you know, I mentioned the fact that there's biolabs, and because all of this is about the children, okay? And I was interviewed by Doc Malik the other day, and he's a great guy. And he's not the first one to say to me, 22,000 kids every day, that's a lot of kids. Is that real? Is that a genuine figure? Is that real? Well, yeah, it is. And I pointed out a Irish Mirror article from 2014, which said 8 million children go missing every year. 8 million divided by 365 is nearly 22,000. Oh, but all those kids get found, Mark. No, they don't. The vast majority of them get sucked into a underground system that is so evil it's beyond belief. And that's why some of the Epstein, although they were redacted, we're being drip-fed information, because the public can hardly cope with these ideas. They can't cope with the idea that the government's tried to kill them. They just can't put two and two together. It's mind-blowing. So I do, this is an information war, and the information is being handled in such a way that it's kind of gentle on people. But the fact that Putin's talking openly about Satanism is fantastic. Whatever you think he is, whether you believe it or not, you're going to see this unfurl more and more and more. And, he said in the interview that was posted on X We have to be very careful. That is the key. The way that we do this is what he was saying. And that's absolutely correct, because you're dealing with people with no soul, or a sold soul, or an own soul. And interestingly, I saw Avatar 3 last night, and there's much to unpack in that film, especially at the end. I don't want to give it away. If you don't want to be spoiled about the film, don't watch this bit. But at the end, they go to the spirit world, and that was a beautiful thing to see, because there's a lot of truth in that film. But anyway, have a lovely day. God bless you.